Today, we're going to look at Grand Theft Auto 5 and how different countries have put their own unique spin on censorship. It's pretty crazy how one game can look so different depending on where you're playing it. Let's start with Australia, a country known for its strict gaming regulations. When GTA 5 first dropped, the Australian government was not having it. They initially threatened to ban the game entirely, which would have been a major blow to gamers down under. Ultimately, the game made it through with some modifications, but players had to deal with toned-down violence and some content adjustments that made the game feel slightly less edge. Moving over to Germany, things get even more interesting. The country has some of the most stringent video game censorship laws in the world. In GTA 5, they completely removed blood effects, modified death animations, and took out pretty much any graphic violence that might make someone uncomfortable. It's like they took the gritty GTA experience and turned it into a PG-rated road trip. China takes censorship to a whole new level. The entire game was basically re-engineered to fit their strict content guidelines. Any references to drugs, sexual content, or excessive violence were stripped away. Some players joke that the Chinese version of GTA 5 is more like a peaceful driving simulator than the chaotic crime game we know and love. In Japan, the censorship was more subtle, but still noticeable. They focused on toning down sexual content and graphic violence. Certain character interactions and scenes were modified or completely removed to meet the country's content standards. It's fascinating how a single game can be transformed so dramatically across different cultural contexts. Russia took an interesting approach. Instead of comprehensive censorship, they simply banned the game entirely for a period. The reason? They claimed the game could potentially encourage criminal behavior among young players. This total ban meant Russian gamers had to get pretty creative if they wanted to experience the GTA 5 world. Brazil had its own unique censorship journey. While they didn't ban the game, they did require significant modifications to meet local content guidelines. Certain violent scenes were altered, and some of the more controversial storylines were toned down to make the game more palatable for Brazilian audiences. The Middle Eastern countries presented another complex scenario. Several nations completely banned the game due to its content being considered inappropriate or conflicting with local cultural and religious values. In some countries, owning or playing GTA 5 could actually result in legal consequences. Now, the censorship saga of Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. Stories in Germany and Japan. And trust me, it's a wild ride of content modification that'll make you go, wait, what? So, let's kick things off with the German version. Imagine being a game developer and having to basically sanitize your entire game to meet local standards. The German censors went to town on Vice City stories, turning a gritty crime game into something that feels more like a mild-mannered adventure simulator. First up, those brutal ground finishers, completely axed. You know those moments where you could kick a downed opponent? Gone. The chainsaw attacks? Stripped of their blood effects, making them about as threatening as a butter knife at a pillow fight. Sniper headshots? Nope, not happening. The game basically neutered all those epic violent moments that made GTA, well, GTA. But wait, there's more. The developers went full cleanup mode. Blood splatters? Removed. Bloody tire marks? Erased. Even the body count statistic disappeared, as if the game was trying to pretend violence never happened. And here's a hilarious twist. Dead bodies no longer drop cash. It's like the game is saying, nah, crime doesn't pay. Literally. Now, let's hop over to Japan, where they took the German version and added their own unique flavor of censorship. Most of the German edits were carbon copied, but the Japanese version threw in some extra spice. The most hilarious censorship has to be the mission name changes. A narcotics mission? Nope. Now it's about sugar. Because apparently dealing sugar sounds way more wholesome than dealing drugs. And prostitution missions? They're now called dispatch. Because nothing says totally innocent like renaming an entire problematic mission type. It's kind of mind-blowing how two different countries can take the same game and transform it so dramatically. The German version turns Vice City stories into almost a bloodless, consequence-free adventure. The Japanese version? It's like they're playing a game of semantic gymnastics, changing mission names to make everything sound incredibly innocent. For hardcore GTA fans, these versions must feel like watching a heavily edited movie on daytime television. All the edge, all the grit, completely sanded down to meet local sensitivities. Similar story is for Liberty City stories. Germany strikes again with its ultra-strict approach to gaming content. In Liberty City stories, they went full sanitization mode on the game. Remember those brutal ground kicks on fallen opponents? Completely erased. The iconic chainsaw that used to plunge into characters? Now it's about as threatening as a plastic spoon. Sniper rifles? Forget about those epic headshots. The blood effects and head-blasting moments have been completely removed. One of the most hilarious censorship moments comes from the Love and Lead mission. In the original version, there's this intense scene where a chauffeur's head gets blasted off. In the German version, nope. That head stays firmly attached. It's like they're playing a very polite version of a violent crime game. The blood effects got absolutely demolished. Running over dead people used to create those signature red tire tracks. Now, nothing. It's like the game is trying to pretend violence never happened. And here's a wild twist. Money no longer spawns when you kill people. Crime literally does not pay in this version. The Carmageddon mission got neutered too. In the original, you'd get points for running over pedestrians. The German version said, "Nah, we're not rewarding that kind of behavior." Rampage, missions, toned down to the point where they're barely recognizable. Japan wasn't far behind in the censorship game. They took most of the German edits and added their own unique flavor. The /TV side mission got a complete makeover. Instead of human targets, you're now hunting some mysterious creature. It's like they're trying to turn a gritty crime game into a bizarre monster hunting adventure. Mission objectives involving killing people? Completely revised. The kill count was dramatically reduced, making the game feel more like a mild-mannered adventure than a crime epic. Even the blood dripping from a car in the Made Man mission? Wiped clean away. It's absolutely mind-blowing to see how two different versions of the same game can be so dramatically different. The German and Japanese releases of Liberty City stories are like parallel universe versions. Same basic story, completely different execution. GTA Vice City. Japan went absolutely nuts with the censorship. First off, they completely removed head-blowing mechanics for pedestrians. Blood? Forget about it. Using a chainsaw or rocket launcher won't give you those satisfying blood splatters anymore. It's like they turned a gritty crime game into a sanitized adventure. The drug scenes with Ken Rosenberg completely wiped out. In the No Escape and the Shootist missions, all references to cocaine vanished faster than you can say content modification. They weren't playing around when it came to removing mature content. Film studio missions got absolutely massacred. The Dildo Dodo mission had entire cutscenes cut short. Martha's mugshot and G-Spotlight missions lost their, shall we say, spicy moments. Moans were silenced, camera angles were changed, and all those provocative scenes? Gone. They even replaced Candy Sucks's photos in Diaz's mansion with kittens and flowers. Because nothing says hardcore crime game like cute kitties, right? Australia took a similar approach, particularly with the Martha's mugshot and G-Spotlight missions. They basically followed Japan's playbook to avoid getting an RC, refused classification, rating. Germany went full nuclear option. Initially rated 16+, the game was later completely banned due to extreme violence. When they finally allowed it back in 2012, they went full censorship mode. Ground attacks, removed, blood effects, eliminated, sniper headshots, nope. Cash spawning from dead bodies, forget about it. But here's the real kicker for the German version. They actually removed entire missions. The dirty lickin' and messing with the man missions from Mitch and Auntie Poulet were completely cut. This dropped the mission count from 38 to 36, potentially leaving players totally confused about the storyline. Japan turns it into an almost cartoonish adventure. Germany strips out entire gameplay elements, and Australia tries to walk a careful line of keeping the game available. Now GTA 3. Let's start with Germany and France, where censorship went absolutely wild. These versions stripped GTA 3 down to basically a sanitized version of its former self. Blood? Completely disabled. Limb loss? Not happening. It's like they took a gritty crime game and turned it into a very polite adventure simulator. The Grand Theft Aero mission got a complete model swap to remove blood effects. Headshots? Gone. Want to beat down an enemy on the ground? Nope. Claude will now just use his fists, and bullets will magically pass through bodies. The baseball bat basically became a useless prop in these versions. Here's a hilarious twist. Pedestrians don't drop money anymore. So if you were hoping to make some quick cash by, well, being a criminal, you're out of luck. But hey, you can still earn money by blowing stuff up, so there's that. The censorship goes deep. Bone-cracking sounds? Muted. Rampage missions? Completely disabled. Even the stats tracking people wasted disappeared. They even created an entirely different game logo and cover for these versions. Talk about going all out. Australia's censorship took a different approach. Initially, the game was banned because of a specific scene involving prostitutes. The controversial mechanic of killing a sex worker and taking her money was deemed too intense for their guidelines. The solution? A modified version that removed that entire interaction and limited health restoration. Interestingly, South Korea initially banned the game entirely. This is part of a broader trend of countries taking extreme measures with controversial video games. But they eventually lifted the ban, allowing players to experience the game. The censorship journey of GTA 3 is a fascinating look into how different cultures approach video game content. Each country has its own standards, its own red lines that cannot be crossed. What's acceptable in one region might be completely unacceptable in another. For hardcore GTA fans, these censored versions must feel like watching a heavily edited movie on daytime television. All the edge, all the grit, completely sanded down to meet local sensitivities. The good news? Australia eventually re-released the game uncut in 2019 with an R18+ rating. Proof that gaming regulations can and do evolve over time. And we are done. I did not talk about GTA San Andreas. Maybe someday later. Also, if you found this video interesting, subscribe to the channel, because I always try to make something unique content, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, thanks for watching.